Welcome back to The Author's Edge. I am your host, Allison Lane. I am your literary Sherpa, your chaperone through the publishing industry. And I hear a lot this particular question, and it's all the time, even this morning. How do I cut through the noise and land media and build visibility without burning out, without pouring my heart into a book and then still feeling invisible? It's not luck. And I know how hard it is to see others get the stage. And when you're like, well, I should be on that stage, it comes down to knowing who your audience is and how to connect with readers and how to market in a way that actually works. And I know we try and avoid jargon, and market really shouldn't be a verb, but it is, and because this is a marketing podcast. So we are positioning you. We are wanting to connect you to the people who are eager for your story and your experience and your message. And that's why I'm so thrilled that Arielle Ford is here. She is the best-selling author of everything. And she's going to say no, but it's true. She is one of my favorite clients, but also best-selling author of The Soulmate Secret and Turn Your Mate into Your Soulmate. And then recently just launched, and I'm holding it up and shaking it at you in case you're watching on YouTube, her first novel, The Love Thief, which is based on her real life experience, but she didn't want to write memoir. Instead, she wrote this novel. She also spent decades as a publicist and a producer helping people like Deepak Chopra, I don't know if you've heard of that, or Wayne Dyer or Marianne Williamson, become household names. Arielle, we're going to get into it because I want to make sure that we're giving people tips to avoid big mistakes and how to think about their obvious and necessary role to be the spokesperson for their book as something that's exciting and not overwhelming. So why don't we start with this? What's a mistake authors making when it comes to trying to get their book out now versus 10, 15, 20 years ago?
Oh my God. It is a hard question because everything that I did in the late 80s and the 90s up till the early 2000s doesn't exist anymore in terms of book promotion, really. It used to be about the book tour and the major media and the print, and that's all gone. Today, it's really about social media. And you can't just write a book, self-publish a book, or get an agent and get a book and then expect the book to sell if you haven't spent the 3 years leading up to the book building a presence on social media and giving away everything that you know. One of the biggest mistakes I see nonfiction writers make is they're so precious about their material. So precious. Oh, I coined this word and I did that. And really what you want to be doing is every conceivable interview podcast that you can do or post that you're actually delivering value to the audience. Like you're giving it away. You could give away your entire book over 30 posts, and it doesn't mean they're not going to buy it. They're not going to remember it. What they're going to do is fall in love with you. Oh, I read Allison Lane's Instagram today, and she told me 2 hacks I can do with my teenager who's making me crazy. And I tried it and it worked. I'm going to go back and see what she says tomorrow. So that I would say is the number one biggest mistake, is not sharing what you have and sharing it from a deeply personal and vulnerable place. Because I need to trust you. I don't know who you are. I know nothing about you. So if you're trying to teach me, if you're giving me academic gobbledygook, I don't want that. I'm looking for someone who's going to hold my hand, be my friend, and interact with me.
That is so true. Your reader is looking for you, but if you wait until the book comes out to introduce yourself, it's too late. If they don't know you, they're not waiting for you. They're falling in love with someone else in the meantime.
Yes.
and they're not waiting for you to pop out of the box or the groundhog hole. They're definitely moving on because they don't know you. And the other mistake I see people make is their social posts are like, it's coming. It's coming. Like, no one cares. You're just inoculating people to the excitement they would have if you told them, here it is, and you can buy it, or you can jump into a Facebook Live with me, or something. But when you just say it's coming and there's not an action for them, why bother? Why would you say that? Or at
It's
least give
boring.
them a behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I think we have to take some tips from things that work. And we often look, as a global marketer, I look at other industries. An industry we should all be looking at are movies. You never see Tom Cruise give you the play by play about the plot of the latest Mission Impossible, because that would give away the whole movie. Instead, it's a behind the scenes of some stunt he did and how funny it was. So that's hard. Plus, most authors are really comfortable being alone, writing alone. And they're then to shift them into overdrive of, not only do you need to build a presence and be visible, but you need to be visible to people who are not your family and friends. That's even harder. A lot of times they're saying, oh, I don't want to post this on my Instagram account because my friends and family will get tired of seeing me post about the reason why this book needs to be talked about, or these topics should be more relevant in the news. They're your family and friends. And so maybe you have to tell them to get used to it, because you are your whole person. And no, you may not create another Instagram profile so that you can talk to other people. Like, they need to get on board. So that's some tough love for your friends and family who love you. And if they balk, then unfriend. That's just it. So when it comes to your nonfiction books, to now Love Thief, because you've written, I lose track with all the books you've written.
Did 11 nonfiction books.
Oh, is that all?
I'm almost 73. So it's like I had a lot of time to do it. It's not like I did 11 books in 11 years.
Still, I think we look the same age, and I'm 54.
I'm using all the Zoom filters.
Okay. Now you experienced a book launch years after your latest. What did you expect, and what did you learn is true now?
I don't know that I can even answer that because I didn't really have a lot of expectations. I knew that the world had changed significantly, which is why I closed my PR firm in 2004, because I could see the writing on the wall that media was not interested in self-help, personal growth, or spirituality. It was just after 9/11. They were interested in war, all that kind of stuff. I checked out of it then. And I've been, of course, watching social media and very comfortable on Facebook, but very resistant to learning Instagram. And so I had a toe in the water, but not all the way in. And I've had to jump in and start to understand it more. And of course, you've been a big help with that. That I would say the number one thing that I would want to tell writers out there, authors, number one, writing the book is the easy part. Number two, you are the CEO of the marketing team of your book. And as much as it's not fun to do and you're going to hate it, you're either going to master it or you're not going to sell any books. Those are the two most important things to do. And that don't try to do it alone. The world of publishing and media is very counterintuitive. You can't just figure it out on by yourself. Get somebody like Allison. Get a couple of people like Allison. Get some coaches, and then figure out, why are you sending the book out there? If you're putting a book out there because you think you're going to get rich, go get some Zoloft and get a grip. We authors don't make much money. Okay. There's really no money in books. But there's a lot of satisfaction in helping people and getting your word out there. And you've probably heard that the book is a good business card to have. Well, if your desire is to be in media and on media, you have to have a book because it gives you credibility. So there's lots of good reasons to write and be an author. But if making money is the top of your list, don't quit your day job and stop being delusional.
Yeah, certainly there is the myth of the book deal and you're going to sell enough books and that's going to make the money. But mostly the book is a door opener to other opportunities that you might not even be seeing. Now, every author I work with, I tell in advance, please set up a PayPal account so that as soon as this book comes out, you will get DMs from people who want to pick your brain, or I'm doing the air bunnies, or they want to connect with you, but they're not friends, but they want to take an hour of your time. That immediately is an afternoon. If it's 3 people, that's an afternoon. That's something that you charge for. And that's what actually people want. They don't want to feel like they're asking you a favor, but they do want your insight. Arielle, you are a leading figure in conscious living and personal growth and have helped so many people create deeper love and stronger relationships and more fulfilling lives. And that's what your books are about, even your latest, The Love Thief. And that's also when you did coaching, that was about these are the themes that tie all your work together. And that's what I've heard you talk about on other podcasts and in other events is those are the themes. So it doesn't matter if you have 12 books or this is your debut book, but you're always going to be talking about the overall universal themes. Don't dive down into the plot points of your 6-point method to build a house or make money or find yourself. That's too close. It's like you're giving away everything in the book instead of inviting people into a conversation about a bigger topic. Don't use that when you've been doing these interviews about the love thief, and I've witnessed many of them. A lot of them start with relationships with narcissists or hopeful romantics and just these themes of the fairy tale that's sold to people. And you don't really have to get into the plot of the novel, right?
No, I don't really go step by step unless it's a particular kind of audience and they
Yeah.
really want to know that. It's more about people will ask me, what's the thing you most want the reader to take away?
Yeah.
And the answer to that is the book is really about what love is and what love isn't, and understanding that as you go through life. And then there's also the occasional morning TV show that does want bullet points. They do want to know what are the 5 steps I can do right now to wrangle my kid or to save better money or to go grocery shopping with. And then it becomes useful, but you want to make sure you're driving them to your website, not to buy the book. Nobody wants to hear in my book. You want to drive them to get something free to download. So the next time you go to the store and the next time you go to the bank, here's what you need to know. And then you've captured their email address and then you can start bothering them and trying to sell them the book.
No one loves that when you're like, go to my website and buy the book. Ugh.
No.
It's like trying to get to third base in the first 5 minutes of a first date. Like it's too soon. It's too soon. And let me decide that I want to buy the book after I've fallen in love with you and I really like your storytelling. Other than what we talked about, what's a big change you've seen in the publishing industry? Just the industry itself.
Oh, I don't know that it's a change so much as what's still very important in the publishing industry. What's been important for at least the last 20 years is showing up with a platform. If they don't know you and you don't have a track record and you don't have a substantial email list and social media following, no one's going to take a chance on you. Nobody wants to launch you. They need to know that there's pent-up demand, that there are people just waiting for the book. And I think people don't really understand the importance of that getting ready to sit down. That's important to an agent too. An agent's not going to take you if you have no platform. So if you're writing a book proposal, the single most important section of that is your platform. Who are you and what are you bringing to the party? Just saying, oh, I will use all of my advance to hire a PR firm isn't going to cut it anymore. We have to know that you understand the business, that you're ready for the business, and you're ready to go out there and really be the CEO of the marketing team. Because none of them, not the big five, none of them are going to do it for you unless you're already one of their superstars, in which case you'll get their full attention.
True. The first meeting with the marketing team at a publisher is often the splash of cold water that debut writers have, because they go in thinking, I'm meeting with my marketing team tomorrow. It's so exciting. And then I say, are you prepared to lead that conversation? Because they're going to ask you this question. What is your marketing plan? We need to know so that we can know how we fit in.
Yeah.
And then everyone's aghast, like, what? I thought they were presenting their marketing plan. No, you're in charge of marketing you. They are going to be promoting the product, which is one way people can connect with you, but another way is they could subscribe to your newsletter. They could go see you speak. You are the umbrella brand. And the publisher is focused on the book publicity or book promotion, but they're not promoting you.
Yeah. And one of the things that will really get them excited, especially if this is your first book, they want to know how many paid speaking gigs you have in a year and how many people you're speaking to, because that's their easiest low-hanging fruit to sell books to. Oh, yes, I regularly speak to these top 10 corporations and they have 500 to 2,000 people in the room. The sales team is going to love that.
They're just going to add up those numbers. That is great.
Yeah, it's a business. Let's remember, it's not an art. This is not an art gallery. It is a business. And getting a book off a shelf into somebody's hands to the cash register gets harder every year. Here's what the really sad thing for me is. You might get someone to buy your book, getting them to open it, read it, and finish it almost never happens. I think the last stat I saw was that most book buyers never get past page 30. It's nonfiction, not fiction. And then the abbreviation for that is DNF, did not finish.
Did not finish.
Yeah. You spent years maybe researching and writing, and they never got to the juicy stuff.
But maybe they bought your online course.
There are actually marketing experts who teach you how to get your buyers to, it's like taking in nutrients. I can't think of the phrase, but they have a phrase for having them eat up your course. That first intro course is the lead into the more expensive big course. So you really want people to read the book and complete the course and then get into your $10,000 a year program or whatever it is.
Yeah. Let me ask you about the act of writing a novel that's based on your real personal experience. Can you talk about why you didn't want to write it as memoir and what the experience was, how it was different writing it in this way?
You don't want to write this book at all. Let's start with the truth. I never, ever had it on my to-do list to write a novel. Never had a conscious thought, maybe I'll write fiction someday. The story came to me like a movie in my head that wouldn't go away. And I tried to ignore it and I tried to make it go away. And when it became clear that it wouldn't, then I finally agreed to write it. And it took 5.5 years because I had to learn how to write fiction, because I know I'm a strong nonfiction writer. The last book I turned into HarperCollins, my editor said to me, we're not changing a word of this. This never happens, right? Well, I didn't know what I didn't know about writing fiction. And what I quickly learned is that the only thing nonfiction and fiction have in common is that they both use words. Other than that, they're different paths completely. So it was a very steep learning curve. It was hard. It was frustrating. Had I known at the beginning how hard it was, I would have never done it. And now that it's over, I'm glad that I did it. Would I do it again? I don't know. I think the only way I could think about doing it again is if it came to me like a movie in my head the first time and I knew where it was going. Because every other book I ever wrote took 6 months or less. I would give myself, I'd write 500 words a day, which isn't a lot, doesn't take a lot of time. But at the end of 6 months, I'd have a book.
You make it sound so simple.
It requires discipline, right? And you have to be willing to really think things through and be willing to throw away the pages that don't work. And of course, I always have an editor side by side with me. So I would write my 500 pages and then I would email to my freelance editor. I write 500 words a day and I would send them to Christine. And then when I woke up in the morning, I'd have them back with notes. And then I'd go on to the next 500 words. And in certain books where it wasn't chronological, where I didn't really know the order of the book, I would just write randomly and she would project manage and track where everything was and then say, oh, we can take the piece on this and put it over here in chapter 2 with the piece on that. I wrote all of it 100%, but I always had a backseat driver helping me.
That's often, I think, what people miss. They think, oh, I've put it together, it's ready. Even a critique partner can help you do that.
I had probably 50 beta readers on the novel, and every single one of them gave me useful feedback.
And all different, I bet.
Oh, totally. In fact, one of the most funniest and useful things I got is there's a scene in the book where my protagonist gets proposed to, and it's a description of the ring. And my former assistant called me and she said, that's not a big enough diamond. You just told us he's from the wealthiest family in Rancho Santa Fe. She's not going to put up with a 2-carat diamond. I would have never thought of that. In my mind, 2 carats was substantial, but she was right. I had to completely rewrite that.
Yeah, 2 carats is not enough for some highfalutin fella. Arielle, before we call this complete, let me ask you, what do you want the emerging author, the person who wants to get their book in the world, what do you want them to know today?
I think they need to know why. Like, really, what's in it for them? How are they going to measure success? When it's 2 years after publication date, how are they going to measure success? Because if it's only going to be by book sale numbers, chances are that's not a good enough reason. But if you know that, oh, I want to shift into sharing my wisdom and mentoring people and speaking in front of audiences, let's get a bigger picture of how you're going to measure success and then start writing.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and your generosity and your words. You're tremendous. And we will put The Love Thief and your other books in the show notes. And for you out there who's thinking, I do have a why, write it down. Do not keep it to yourself. Write it down. I don't care if it's on the back of a napkin. Write it down and put it somewhere visible that you're going to see every day, because you will end up wanting to add to that. Oh, now I have a second why. Now I really understand. And the more you understand your why, it'll lead you to your who. Who needs it? Who wants it? Who's looking for it? Your why and who needs it, that's the start of your marketing plan. But you got to write it down. Don't keep it to yourself. Pencil. Have one ready all the time. It will help, even if it's a few words, and do it today. And if this podcast episode has been helpful to you or someone who needs to start, please stop right now and send it to someone. Just forward it to them. Hey, Arielle Ford's laying down some wisdom. You need to hear this. And let us know, too, what your next steps are. We really want to know and to support you. And until next week, keep writing because you are a big effing deal.